Well, as of today, now we haven't got much detail yet, but as of today, as of right now, it seems that for the first time in 6 decades, we're going to have a double strike. Now, what that means for the future, for Hollywood is unknown, but it definitely shows that both sides, I'm saying, it definitely shows that both sides are basically pushing back against the others, or against each other. Now, as I've mentioned before, I think the biggest winners, believe it or not, in all this are going to be independent people, independent producers, actors, studios, animators, animation, if you will, even big, even major animation. They're going to be the winners. They're going to be the winners in all this, and uh, it's all because of the fact that neither side wants to budge. Now, the biggest talking point out of this is that both the Actors Guild and the Writers Guild all want the same thing. And as I said earlier, I think, honestly, a lot of that is pretty much in place to be, negotiated and made into a realization. Except, you have Netflix and a few others, of the streaming kind of being very reluctant, on basically, giving people what they want, basically giving them, what they're asking for and stuff. And, that's going to hurt in the long run. It really is. That's going to hurt in the long run. Um, so right now, it's going to be one of those situations to where obviously they got enough product for the rest of the year, but they're not going to be able to, unless they work this out in the meeting, they're not going to be able to promote it, as best they want. Now, obviously, there are those of the independent kind that, are supporting both ends of the spectrum, but both actors and writers. And there are those that are like, look, we get where you guys are coming from, but now it's not the best time. It's not. And you even have studios like, studio heads like Bob Iger coming out and saying it, like, hey, this is not the best time. We get what you want, and we understand, and we want to give you what you want, but now it's not the best time. We're still recovering from the pandemic. You need to realize that. So, yeah, it's very, from a entertainment perspective, movie and television. Um, like I was saying, it's like, you know, it's just all a pushback on both ends. You know, of the spectrum. And like I said, you got people of the independent kind that are supported, that are in support of those that they respect and are friends with in the Actors and Writers Guild. But obviously, let's be truthful. They're not going to let the support for them hinder what they're doing. Vizzy Pop says that Hell of a Boss has been, but mostly Hell of a Boss might be on hold for the time being, and that's her choice because she wants to support, her and her team want to support, even if they're independent, they want to support those in the writers and the screen actors. We get that, we understand that. um, but the thing is, you know when you get when you get down to it, they people like Vizzy have to realize, hey, this is an open opportunity now. It's an open opportunity for everybody of the independent kind to pretty much come out and say, see, this is why we didn't want to sign up to be part of any guilds, because we know what would happen. We'd rather do it on our own. We'd rather do it with the support of the fans. And again, we all get and we all respect. I respect and get why what these people want and are fighting for, and that's a good thing. But the timing couldn't be any worse. That's the thing. If they would just sit down and say, hey, look, let's let's negotiate a deal that gets us at least to the end of the year and then go from there. I think that would have been good, and hopefully that might be what they have to do. They might have to just sit down and say, look, we this is what we can do at least to the end, to get us through to the end of the year, and then at the start of 2024 we can probably figure out a better plan. But yeah, the timing, let's be honest, is not a good it's not good timing, despite the fact that we all agree that they have a right to ask what the to ask for what, ask rightfully for what they want, you know, we all have to agree the timing isn't good. It isn't. I mean, how, I mean, how do I put this? It's, for the actors and the actresses part of the guild, them, I think any negotiating with them, that's probably still going to be something because they just went on strike. So getting them back on the table quickly because they got a little bit more pull, that's not going to be a problem. That won't be a problem, and they'll probably get something done, at least something reasonable. On the other hand, the writers, they pretty much put themselves in a situation to where, everybody across the board, and you could think this is being crazy and this is being, unrealistic, but the studios are right in this manner that, hey, you want to play hardball, you want to ask us for stuff that we can't affordably give you right now, but we are being reasonable to give you certain things out of it, but for a lower, amount. If you're still willing to play hardball to at least October into November, guess what? Hope you enjoy going living in homeless shelters or living with family because that's what's going to happen to you. You're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your apartments, you're going to fall behind on bills. And then that's when you're going to start crawling back to us and you're going to say, okay, let's talk. And that's probably what's going to happen. I mean, if there's going to be any victors on the guild side of things, it's going to be the actors because they have more pull. But if there's any going to be any victims, any people that any groups that are going to have to swallow the pride, it's going to be the writers. But yeah, the timing couldn't be any worse. Timing couldn't be any worse, and both sides have a both sides have a point in where they're coming from. The guilds, they have a right, right? They have a right in understanding and respectful understanding of wanting what they feel is owed to them. Well, the studios are like, yeah, we get it, but you have to understand the timing's it's not that good for you to be asking right now. We're still recovering financially, from what happened with the pandemic. So, both sides are right in their arguments. It's just that neither want to budge. Neither want to budge, and it looks like, at least for the writers, they're going to be the ones that fall victim. They're going to be the sacrificial lambs because basically, unlike the actors, they are more expendable. They are more expendable to the point that once it gets to that certain financial point, they're going to have no choice in the eyes of much of the Hollywood studios, but to take what's given to them. And I think a lot of them realize that. I think even some of them have mentioned that that's a strong reality that could be looking them in the face. So we'll see what happens. Some people may laugh it off, but guess what? I wouldn't be laughing that off I wouldn't be laughing that off just yet because, you got to realize that just when you think it won't happen, that's when it will. That's when reality will slap you right in the face. And again, like I said, I think the winners in this are the independent studios, the independent actors, the independent writers, the ones that don't have no association with guilds whatsoever. The people that win in this are the animators, independent or even major, whether they support their friends that are wanting or that are striking for what they feel is rightfully theirs or not. They know that in the long run they're benefiting from this more so than anything because their material is going to be looked at as material as content to fill in the gaps that are going to be need to filled in depending on how long this goes. But yeah, timing can be better. Neither side, you know, neither side wants to budge, and what in the talks. One side, the studios are trying to say, hey, we get what you're saying, but the timing financially is not good because we're still recovering from the pandemic. And the guild side, both actors and writers, it's they're right. It's understanding in what they're fighting for, and they're all right in what they're fighting for, and everything. But the timing couldn't be worse. And the ultimate winners in the end are going to be the independent artists, studios, writers, animators, actors, you name it. But give me your thoughts, guys. What do you think of this whole situation? Who do you think will budge first? You know, Do you think the writers will end up having to crawl back to the studios if what the studios feel will happen by the October, November becomes a reality? What are your thoughts? And how do you think the independents feel, even if they support their friends, about the whole situation, kind of putting them now in the driver's seat? Let me know down below in the comments as well as in the live chat down here. Like the video, super chats are open in the live chat, guys. And until next time, I will talk to y'all later. But give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this because the timing couldn't be any worse.